The first thing really is to sort of put it in context of our general Canongate strategy. I think all publishers are really sort of focusing much more than they used to do on social media and the internet and everything. Everybody can now talk to your readers much more. It's been completely at the heart of what we've been doing at Canongate. We've just relaunched our website, and the website is kind of, I think because we're like a small independent publisher, it's quite easy for us to have a kind of, in a way that I think a bigger publisher might struggle with more in some ways. We've got a very sort of distinct readership and distinct group of people, and we're quite a kind of, small independent, and we're known for doing certain types of books. So it's quite easy for us to have a sort of brand and a voice, and engage with quite a sort of loyal audience. So in some ways that makes my job much easier. And the thinking behind Canongate TV was to sort of capitalise on that and sort of just bring all the interesting content around our authors to the public in a way that you wouldn't be able to have on Amazon. So we've been trying to create really interesting content, video content, audio content, so you can listen to clips of audiobooks. We've been trying to make it more engaging so that people can actually have their own voice as well and contact us. And we've sort of rebranded our newsletter, so it's almost more like a kind of online magazine. And there's new fresh stuff going up every day, and it's just not trade focused at all anymore. So that's been the kind of aim of it. And I think when we were looking at the site and trying to give it a bit of a refresh, we were thinking the one thing it's really lacking is people being able to contribute themselves, which people really want to do more and more. But we were also a bit we don't want to compromise our editorial quality and have just people posting all kinds of stuff and having to monitor that and manage that. It's quite sort of time consuming in itself. And the sort of the voice and the tone of our brand and our company is quite important. So we wanted to kind of keep authority of that. So then we were a bit well, why don't we just set up something else that's kind of linked to from the website, but allows very easily people to set up their own profiles and their own, more of a sort of social media platform, but branded as Canongate and not sort of just sitting within Facebook or. And it's got all the functionality that we want it to have. It looks exactly like we want it to look, and we can sort of manage it, but it also gives people a chance to have a voice of their own and have their own profile and talk about whatever they want to talk about. So that's where we thought, okay, let's do this Canongate Book Club. So to do that, we sort of just looked around a bit, and there's so many online tools to help you do whatever you want to do. And we found Ning, which is one of the biggest, the world's largest platform for creating your own bespoke social network. It was brilliant, really, because it has every feature you could want. You can integrate any app you want. And it has a sort of your own pricing plan, so you can either pay you can literally pay $2.99 a month if you want to do the very basic level, or you can, I think we paid a one-off fee of about £300, and that meant that we could have our own URL, which was canongatebookclub.com, and we could, we had sort of so much functionality with it. So that was what we did. And this is kind of what it allows you to do. So I sort of set up my own profile, and it has chat, and you can invite your friends, you can add your own content, you can create groups, it just sort of has everything we wanted to have on it. And you can do so much. You can do email marketing, you can design it in the way you want, and it's a personalisation beyond Canongate that we don't have to monitor. So people can just sort of get involved, and they have access to us and they can talk to us, but they don't, we don't have to sort of manage it through our own website. So what we're doing with it is we're putting up monthly content. So this was our first month, and we did an interview with Jane Rogers, one of our authors, and we put it up as a blog. We put a discount on Canongate TV, so anybody could link through and buy the book from us and put in a promotional code and get us 20% off. And people could sort of ask her questions and talk to her directly. I think when we've got more subscribers, we're going to start doing live chat sessions as well, and we can integrate with Google Plus as well, and do sort of live hangouts, and because it integrates completely with Facebook and Twitter and everything, so you can literally just sort of do it in one place and post it here. But it's a quite nice way of kind of gathering people together under one website, essentially. So that's what we're going to do. And then yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about the power of the group. We're sort of aspiring to be a little bit like 38 Minutes. I don't know if any of you know, but it's like I guess it's a bit like LinkedIn, but it's a bit more sort of targeted. So it's a sort of a media meeting place. And they found that being able to create your own group really took off. So like people could talk to each other like in live time about job vacancies or digital ideas or anything they wanted to talk about. There's lots of different, like there's creative agencies group, there's a film and television group, there's a Edinburgh Happenings group, and you can actually start to meet people connected to you in your sphere. So we really wanted to do that, so we thought we could have groups that talk about the publishing a Victorian novel next year. But we don't want people just to talk about our novel. We want them to. We can do a sort of social media campaign or something where we get everyone to vote for their favourite Victorian novel. But then they can bring that into. We can send them through to the book club, and they can talk about all the different books they're reading and meet people from other book groups and talk about what they're reading, what Victorian novel are they into, and sort of just create a whole a group which is about that genre, or a group that's local to you. So it's a bit like, I'm a book club in Edinburgh. Which part of Edinburgh do you want to meet up? Do you want to, it's kind of way of putting people into like-minded categories, and very sort of fluid and progressive. So we sort of want it to take on a life of its own beyond Canongate. We just sort of help provide some content, and then they can take it as far as they want to go. That's the sort of idea behind it. Obviously, it's nothing without traffic. So that's kind of the next stage for us, is to do that. We've just, as I say, like literally last week, relaunched our website, and on the Discover section, we've got a blog, we've got our events, and we're going to have a link through to the site. And when you sign up to our newsletter, we're going to have like a functionality of like finding out what your interests are, and then sort of directing you into the book group in sort of whatever way you fit in. So sort of suggesting if you like crime, to join a crime group. And it's quite easy to be that sort of targeted about it, and to make it that personal for people. And it's got a hashtag on Twitter, and we'll be sending it out with our new newsletter. So, and just gradually sort of spreading the word. And I think just talking to book groups out there, doing mail outs to book groups and being like, do you want to take it, do you want to take it online? You don't even have to discuss your books online, but if you want to use our functionality to arrange your next meeting, it makes it much easier for you, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing, just trying to get everybody on board. There were some problems. I put up this example, I don't know if you can reread it, but I looked at this yesterday and I was just like, oh god, typical problem. So you do have to monitor it. There is spam that already comes through, and you have to go through and delete and get them off, and so there is that. There is also the fact that it's just another thing to think about, and we're all busy people, and it almost feels like the more exciting publishing becomes, the more things you can do, the more busy you are, because there is more to do. And my solution to this was the fact that it's not a marketing remit anymore. Everybody can get involved with this. Everybody, all editors can get involved. Everybody can just, everybody should have a profile. Everybody should be talking and using it every day as they would Twitter or anything like that. So I'm not responsible if there's not enough going on as my strategy to that one. And then I tried to do a sort of equation, I guess, at the end of where we see it going. I think essentially our long-term strategy at Canongate is to have a sort of subscriber model where it becomes, ideally, if it becomes really, really good and the content gets better and better and better, and we get more and more people being like, oh, we love this site, and there's always fresh stuff happening, which is obviously it takes a lot of work and takes a lot of creation of content, but I think that is where we're trying to head. Then you'll start to get a loyal readership that will want to sort of subscribe to all our free stuff, but also you could build in subscription models a bit like Love Film Spotify, where you pay, I don't know, 99p and get a free whatever a month, or you pay, I don't know, $7.99 and you get a free, you get I don't know, a hardback and a paperback or something like that, and we're sort of looking at that at the moment and thinking maybe that's like next year's plan, is to try and work out how can we sort of start monetizing all this content and strategy that we're creating. And I put the plaque there sort of in a sort of join the club kind of way, be part of something special where you get special offers, you get secret sales, you get access to authors that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. And then sort of all within our branding, and then that will equal growth and a community. So I don't know if you've all got any questions at all.
Are you looking at syndicating any of this content?
Yeah, we will get other people involved in that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think we want it to be really open and sort of flexible and get yeah.
Are you very much purpose focused? Like, do you see it as a promotional tool, or is it more kind of conversation around the brand?
No, I think we're trying not to be frontlist focused actually. It's hard not to be because there is such a demand for, well, partly because of your budgets, because your budgets are so frontlist focused, but also partly because you know, every month you work to that calendar, and it is your marketing strategy. It comes for each book when they're like, what are you doing this month for your book? Part of it is, oh, we're putting this up online, we're doing this. So you do get really caught up in the front list, but we don't want it to be too marketing front list heavy. We want it to just be, you know, we have so much brilliant old content from the past, and we want it to be like a bit of a bigger picture and a bigger, you know, this is our brand, this is what we are, these are the books we love, this is what we do, rather than kind of like, this month you have to read this. But you know, again, it's a time thing and it's a budget thing, so it's hard for me to go back in the past and make content around old books that now don't have budget. But where we can, we're looking at our whole list, and then again, that makes it easier in a way that we're small, because we can, you know, it's not too hard for us to like look through the archives and be a bit like, right, let's pull this out, this is great content, this is an author that had, you know, like, had such a following a few years ago that, and also I think a lot of this wasn't happening then, and people would still be interested in having access to that author even if they're not in the limelight now. So we're trying to really think quite the bigger picture about it all. Yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about facilitating discussion across the industry rather than just your own title? Do you think that the conversation could get led down that?
Yeah, actually it was quite funny when I was sitting there, I was sort of thinking about what I was going to say, and I was thinking, I wonder why someone doesn't build this for just like the whole industry, just where everybody could just, like authors and I mean, it does exist in like in many forms, and like Google and Facebook and all the rest of it, but you sort of think it would be quite nice to have a real group thing that just includes all publishers and all books and all all authors, and you could just sort of all be part of it and create groups across the whole industry. I think we're already talking to some local independents up in Scotland about sharing. They can sort of tie into the content. At the moment, it is quite Canongate branded, and it is also a marketing exercise as well. So we are kind of keeping it like that, but we want it. I think the more it appeals to people, because it's not just our titles and artists. If we limit it too much, I think that it won't grow as much as we want. You know, I think the more freedom we give people, and the more access to different content, and it's not just inward looking and outward looking, I think the more we'll get growth and people interested. So we're quite open to that.
Kate, I have a question. We're finding that more and more libraries are looking to set up their own online book clubs, and given that there's 10,000 reading groups meeting in libraries, you know, they've got a ready-made, eager audience there that are keen to engage. What advice would you give them? Should they be setting up their own online book clubs? You know, how do they kind of navigate their way through the kind of class of online book clubs that are popping up now?
Well, it's hard. Part of me just says, in a way, set up. You know, part of me says, "Oh, come and join ours," but part of me thinks, you know, if you do set up your own, then or if you could do like a library-wide one, which is like a national program, but where everybody could have groups by location. You know, there'd be a map. You could find local people, or you could. I think the groups functionality is a very good thing, because it's a bit like your circles, I guess, and you can sort of work out who you want where, and you can put people in different areas, and so you could have people you talk to about books that you know, if you love crime but no one in your book group does, you could talk to that other book group about it. But if you're just a lone person that wants to wants to find somewhere local to you, you can just go on and do that.
I think it's a really important next stage development perhaps for reading groups for everyone, which is the National Reading Groups website, I think. So I don't know, Ruth, if you want to say anything about that?
No, I just think it'd be quite nice to have a bigger chat with you, really. I mean, I think it's quite interesting. I don't know, I can see who said about having a national platform, because there's loads of conversations going on around publishers' content, engagement with readers, how we're connecting with readers, and there's lots of different initiatives going on. So I think maybe we just all need to get together and actually try and work together to see what's best for readers, and actually just hear what readers really want as well. I think that's the key thing. We can all think of great things, you know, and trial them, but ultimately it's really what readers want and how they want to engage, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much.